This is Ed. You're on Global TV Talk Show. Thanks for being here. In just a few minutes, James Moss will be coming to us live from New York. And we're going to have a short session today. He's going to be talking about the pace of business activity in New York and London and Dubai, and his new arrangements that he's been working on for some time now. He's also going to bring us an update about absolutereload.com, which is mobility tech, and how it's developing, and about some new connections. He's also going to be talking about Curzon VIP services, and which is a traditional real estate company in New York and London. And he's going to also be informing us about BHS, the new tie-in with Brown Harris Stevens, well-established organized real estate company in the New York tri-state area. James is a busy guy, and I really appreciate him coming on. So we'll be right back with James Moss.
Okay.
We're back on Global TV Talk Show. Our very special guest today is James Moss. As you can see, London and New York and other places. Welcome again, James.
Hey, Ed, great to be back. Great to see you again.
Yeah, okay. You can hear me okay now?
Yeah, we're good. Yep.
Okay, we're going to be talking about your business and about yourself. Now, you recently came back from Dubai. What's happening there?
Yeah, well, Dubai has always been a great business hub for us. So a couple of things are going on there. We have quite interesting private client business on the Curzon side life, which is sort of real estate in London and New York. But we have a strong client base out in Dubai. We've been operating, working out there for 15, 20 years. So I hadn't actually been back out since the pandemic. So it was great to get back out there. And I thought to myself, it's been a while. Are we going to be able to connect with anyone? And, sort of sitting on the plane on a 15-hour flight thinking, am I wasting my time? And I got out there and it was like an old mates reunion. It was really fantastic, and all the banking community and the private client community, and everyone was great. So it's just great to see you out here again, and let's get things rolling. But from the relocation point of view, it's really interesting as well, because we've always done private client business out there. Dubai is an excellent relocation hub for the UAE. And we operate, as you know, in London and New York, and we're now at an advanced stage of setting up representation directly in Dubai. So that's sort of work in progress. One of my non-exec directors is based in Dubai, which is helpful. So yeah, it's a great part of the world, actually, and it's a nice flow to London to New York.
I've
really
done 4 or 5 broadcasts, including people from Dubai, and we'll be doing more. So let me ask you about London and New York. Is there much traffic between the two around senior business, high net worth point of view?
in terms of investment, sort of transatlantic investment with private clients, it's more at the moment going from the US over to London. Okay. And that is a function of the weakness of the pound, the strength of the dollar, if you like. What we've seen, I wouldn't say we've seen a lot of it, but we are seeing an increasing amount of it again, is in the financial sector. Less so in the tech sector. It used to be you had quite a few sort of senior tech guys heading over to London and also to Dublin, actually, which is a big favorite for American corporations for tax reasons. so we're seeing more traffic, US traffic going to London. Now, one of the interesting things is there more and more British companies now looking to list on the New York Exchange. And there's this sort of migration. I'm not quite sure it was migration. People, companies who are listing, they're not lots of them at the moment, but a number of them are choosing New York over London to get higher valuations over here. You've probably got a larger sort of talent market to draw on. So I think we're looking at that space as well. The Middle East is interesting because the Middle East traditionally goes to London. I mean, it's only a 3 hour time difference between Dubai and London, for example. So it's terribly easy. It's like, like me, New York to California, right? I mean, it's easy, right?
Yeah.
But you do see quite a bit of fairly sophisticated investment going to the States from the Middle East. Now, Dubai is a better business center than Riyadh, for example. It's a lot freer and easier to do business than it is in Saudi. So a lot of business that transacts through Saudi actually goes via Dubai. Um, so it's a very dynamic part of the world.
To what extent is Dubai attractive to Iranian companies?
That's a really interesting question. Well, I guess the first thing to say is you got the Gulf. So you get the boats regularly going across one to the other. And breaking sanctions and breaking embargoes, and it's like a cottage industry. It's probably much more of a cottage industry, much bigger than that. Dubai, how could I say? I I don't have a definitive answer. I am sure that there are things that do go through Dubai from Iran, um, most of which are probably legitimate. But I'm sure there's some gray areas as well. It's really hard to comment, to be honest with you. But yeah,
Now, the UAE encompasses Abu Dhabi
yes, Abu Dhabi.
and but
Um,
not Qatar. It's separate.
no, yeah, Doha and capital of Qatar. Yeah, it's also UAE. It
Uh,
also, picks up places like Muscat in Oman and a couple of others, the GCC region. Um, so it's a combination of sort of oil and trading. I mean, Dubai is actually not its wealth isn't built on oil. Its wealth is built on trade. So yeah, let's say, but Dubai is just a very, very good global business hub.
yeah,
Super strong out there.
yeah, and apparently safe. Would
Yeah.
you agree
So,
that
so I excuse me.
yeah? So I said apparently it's safe.
Oh yeah, sorry, safe. Sorry, absolutely. Yeah, I mean Dubai is very, very safe. It's very Western friendly, which is great. So it's easy to do business there. You can have a drink, which you can't in many other places. But they've also made themselves much more accessible to Western business. So, for example, they've changed the working week as of the beginning, 1st of January this year. The working week is Monday to Friday. The government offices still shut early on Friday for prayer, but basically the country works Monday to Friday now. The other big change there is that it used to be that if you wanted to set up a business in Dubai, you had to have a local partner. You don't need that anymore. You can set it up independently and so on. So they're very open. They've got the golden visa situation there has been very popular. Less so for Americans because of global taxation, the IRS not quite as beneficial. But to anyone else, And I think with the exception of Ethiopia, I think Ethiopia has global taxation as well. It might be Eritrea. But apart from the US and whichever one of those it is, it's terribly inviting for international companies and workers. There's no income tax. So
Very interesting, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about what's going on in New York, in the tri-state area. Um, post-COVID, uh, it's wide open, isn't it? Very busy.
Yeah, New York is pretty well right back to where it was. It's not quite. But in terms of sort of, street life, if you like, for lack of a better expression, there's a buzz about the place again. Restaurants are open. There are fewer places shut than there were during COVID. So it's definitely on the recovery, and I think it's come back quite well. But workers still aren't going back to offices. I mean, office vacancy rates in Manhattan and New York are the highest ever. They're over 16%. And although that doesn't sound like a really high figure, in terms of vacancy space, in terms of area and square footage, it is massive, and uncomfortably so. So that's a problem. That again reflects on sort of relocation and how people move, which we may talk about later on. But the other thing is the rental market is really tight. A lot of landlords have pulled out of renting property again for tax reasons. They've been sort of disencouraged. And the same is true in London, actually. You've got a shortage of professional landlords now. So rents are going up, and they're going up pretty significantly. People are coming back, and supply is scarce. On real estate, high-end real estate, again, we sort of work those markets. The very top, we're seeing price reductions all over the place now. Interest rates are so high. People don't want to sell and take a hit. They think their properties are worth much more, which they probably are in a good market or a decent market. Buyers don't want to take on expensive mortgages and get sort of hammered and tied into those, locked into those. So they would rather sit out and rent, which means again there's more pressure on the rental market. And people relocating aren't just having to compete against the traditional movers. They're also now having to compete against locals who are well financed and want to rent. They don't want to buy. They just want to sit it out for the next year or two, or however long it takes for the Fed to get inflation under control and interest rates to come down again and then come into the market. So you've got this gap, this sort of extended gap, and it's not closing. And that's putting a lot of pressure on. Again, that's true in London as well. The trends between London and New York are incredibly similar. The drivers might be different, but the trends always seem to be coming out more or less the sort of same type of picture.
Fascinating. Let me ask you about Brexit. Is that going away? Is that going to be reversed, or are they just going to ignore it?
Well, Brexit was a disaster.
Yes.
An unmitigated disaster. Be it if you voted for it or you voted against it. It's just a mess. It's been an absolute mess.
Nobody's happy with it.
Nobody's happy with it. I mean, a few, dyed in the wool Tories sort of, we'll take it to their grave as a badge of honor. But I mean, we'll bury that. They'll be gone. But no, I mean, it is a mess. What's going to happen? Well, the EU was our largest trading partner, accounted for 48% of GDP trade was with the EU. So we managed to, sever that one, get rid of our largest trading partner, which was really smart. So what do I think is going to happen? What I hope is going to happen is a new generation of enlightened and courageous politicians will appear on the scene, who will want to get us back into Europe. in some way or another as a trading partner. And that's what we desperately, desperately need. One of the problems has been the whole Good Friday Agreement and the Northern Ireland thing. And that has pretty well been resolved now. I think Biden was really helpful in sticking to those guns and getting it through, and he didn't waver. But there's still quite a lot to sort out. Once that happens, we can then sort of get back to a proper trading and business agenda. We need the UK to be actively participating in a trading global Europe, not necessarily under exactly the same rules as before, but we need to be in there, and Europe needs us as well. We were I think the second largest economy in the EU next to Germany. So, it's at the moment, it's a lose-lose situation, and it needs to be changed.
Interesting. Well, I've enjoyed speaking with you and learning so much in such a short time. I thank you very much for talking to me and the audience about what's going on with a view of Dubai, New York, and London. And I wish you well.
Well, thank you very much. It's been great catching up again, Ed, and let's stay in touch and sort of keep posted on stuff.
Great. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very much.
This is
Ciao.
Ed signing off from San Diego, and James Moss is in New York today and soon again in London and Dubai. Okay. Take care.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Bye.